Hello everybody, and welcome back again to your English classes with teacher Blanca Valencia. I'm very happy to see you one more time. We're going to talk about the modal verbs can and could. Now, what is a modal verb? Let me tell you. Modal verbs are verbs that cannot be used alone. You need to use a modal verb, for example, the verb can, with another verb. The other verb is the main verb. For example, my sister can run very fast. Can is the modal verb, and run would be the main verb. Very well. Now, let's see the uses of these modal verbs, can and could. Okay, the first use of verb can is for ability. I can speak English. I can speak English. Hello. Very good. The second use of the modal verb can is to talk about possibility. Let's see this example. Smoking can cause cancer. That's a possibility. Another use for this verb can is to ask permission, for permission. For example, can I use your pencil? Can I use your pencil? I am asking for permission. Another form to use the modal verb can is to make a request, to ask someone for something. And this is the informal way of asking for a favor. For example, can you help me please? Can you help me please? That is a request. Our next form of using the modal verb can is to offer. Now we offer our help, we offer something to another person. Let's see this sentence. Can I help you? Can I help you? I offer my help to someone else. And this is the last form of using the modal verb can. Is when we say that somebody cannot or does not have the permission to do something. Somebody is not allowed to do something, it is prohibited. For example, you cannot play football in the classroom. You cannot play football in the classroom. You don't have the permission. And now we will see the modal verb could. Could has more or less the same meaning and the same uses as the verb can, because the verb could is the past form of verb can. Now, the first use of verb could is to talk about ability. I could play the guitar when I was a child. I had the ability to play the guitar when I was a child. Past ability, I could. Another use of the modal verb could is to talk about possibility. You could learn to speak French. You could learn to speak French. You have the possibility. There is another form of using the modal verb could, is when we ask for permission in a polite way. Let's see. Could we go home now? Could we go home now? Is asking for permission in a polite way. Let's see the next use of modal verb could. Is for a polite request. What is a polite request? Is when we ask another person to do us a favor, to give us something, but in a polite way. For example, could you lend me this book? Could you lend me this book, please? A polite way of asking or requesting for something. Let's see this next example. We can use the modal verb could for making a suggestion. A suggestion is when we tell another person something that we could do. In this case, is offering for help. I could help you with your homework. I could help you with your homework. That is a suggestion. And this is our last way of using the modal verb could. Is in a conditional way. I could visit many places if I had money. The condition for visiting many places is to have money. I could visit many places if I had money. Let's see now the structure of the sentences with modal verbs can or could. For the affirmative sentences, we use the subject, then can or could, and then our verb in base form. Remember, can and could are modal verbs, auxiliary verbs for another main verb. For example, we can go to the movies today in the afternoon. Or we could go to the movies today in the afternoon. Or I can visit you tomorrow. I could visit you tomorrow. Let's see now the negative form. But before that, you have to know that people usually speak or write with contractions in English. The contraction for can is like this. Can plus not is can't. Cannot, contraction, can't. And could not, couldn't. Could not, contraction, couldn't. Now let's see the structure. For the negative sentences with modal verbs can or could, the structure is like this. First we need the subject, then the modal verb can, could, plus the word not, and then the verb in base form, the action verb. Let's say, for example, that we are going to use cannot or could not. We can use the contractions as well. Can't or couldn't. For example, I can't eat pizza today because I am on a diet. Or I could not call you last night. I fell asleep. I couldn't call you last night because I fell asleep. And now let's see the structure for a question with modal verbs can, could. The interrogative form is like this. We begin our questions with the modal verbs can, could, then the subject, and in the last part of our sentence, we say the verb in base form or main verb, and the question mark, of course. For example, can you tell me the time? Can you tell me the time, please? Could you take my dog for a walk? Could you take my dog for a walk, please? Okay. One last thing you have to know, and a very important thing, by the way, is that modal verbs, in this case can and could, are the same, are conjugated in the same way with all the pronouns. Can you please read with me? Let's repeat. I can. You can. He can. She can. It can. We can. You can. And they can. Now let's read with could. Please read with me. I could. You could. He could. She could. It could. We could. You could. And they could. We don't have to worry because the verbs can and could remain the same. They don't change with the different pronouns. We can also use these modal verbs can and could in comparative sentences like this. We can use them to compare past and present abilities. For example, when I was little, I couldn't play video games very well. But now that I have grown up, I can play video games very well. And this is another example. When my mom was a little girl, she could not cook very well. But now that she is grown up, she can cook deliciously. And that is all for today's class. I hope you have enjoyed it. And don't forget to practice and study every day. You can do it. Thank you for your attention, kids. Bye-bye. See you next class.